It's a very fragile state. It's a delicate question. Because if you don't share, you probably won't know what else you could do. But if you share it with the wrong person, you've had it. When we do japa, dhyana, sadhana, or any other spiritual activity, sometimes we see light or we get these experiences. Should we share with others our experiences or not? I remember when I was a kid, and maybe when I started going to Bal Vikas class when I was 4 years old with Didi. And there was somebody in our street who lived in the same street as ours. And she was a devotee of Satya Sai Baba. And we would go to Bal Vikas class. At that time, I think maybe 4.5 or 5, when I first learned how to meditate. And I was told, this is a diya, a little lamp in front of you. Just look at it, and that is your meditation. So look at it for a few minutes, seconds, whatever you can, and then close your eyes and then visualize it. Of course, that was my motivation to go there every Sunday, but the real motivation was to eat the prasadam, the samosas and things we would get afterwards. क्योंकि दिए तो घर में भी बहुत जलते थे, बाहर जाने की क्या जरूरत थी उसके लिए. So I would go there. Now, I don't exactly remember when it started happening, but I distinctly remember for the longest while, every night before I would go to bed, when I would close my eyes, I would see flashing bright light for as long as I focused on it. I'd close my eyes and I would visualize the lamp, the flame, and immediately the light would be very white. Now, I never shared with anybody. I thought everybody had the same experience. I thought everybody would perhaps be seeing this light. And then I was in year 8, 8th grade in school, when I very extensively started reading Swami Vivekananda. I used to order his books from Calcutta or Kolkata now. And I still remember the address, 5 Dehi Tully Road was the address. Because I used to order, and repeatedly every 15 days there would be a parcel coming. And I read in his works. So by the time I was in grade 9, I had completely read all works of Swami Vivekananda, by the way. So I read in his works that he used to see a blinding light. He used to see a flashing light. And he also thought everybody saw it. He thought it was common that everybody had such experiences and so on. I also remember the time when I stopped seeing that light. Now, I don't know if it was a development of the brain, or maybe because I wasn't meditating like that anymore, I'd moved on to mantras and other sadhanas, or I don't know the reason. But I remember it as clear as anything else, that those were my experiences. Now your question, Vatsal, should you be sharing your experiences with anybody? It's a very fragile state. It's a delicate question. Because if you don't share, you probably won't know what else you could do. But if you share it with the wrong person, you've had it. You're done. You will walk down the wrong path, because that person will totally give you a different answer. This couple went to an astrologer. They said, look, we have a 6-year-old son, and we just want to know what will become of him in his life. He said, look, his grihas are very complicated. His horoscope is very complicated. Can't really predict, but I do have a suggestion for you. What is that? The parent said, well, in a room, put a Bhagavad Gita, a bit of money, a pistol, a cake, a piece of cake. And at the top, write a note, take any one of these. and then you hide. And then you watch what your kid does. If he takes the Bhagavad Gita, he will turn out to be a spiritual person. So that is his natural inclination. By the way, you do know that that's how Dalai Lama is discovered, right? Yeah, so when Dalai Lama dies, when the Dalai Lama dies or anybody in that position dies, they will they will see all the kids that were born the next day or within that time period in that region. And then as soon as the child is even like 6 months old or a few months old, they will go to each one and put things of Dalai Lama and other things and some random things. The child who picks the most objects that belong to the Lama at one stage is believed to be incarnated as Dalai Lama. So be careful what you pick, okay? And this could make a world of difference to you. Anyway, so they say if he picks the Bhagavad Gita, this kid is going to be a very spiritual person. If he picks money, he's going to be interested in accounting. He might be a chartered accountant, might be a banker, an investment banker or somebody. And if he picks a pistol, he's going to be a cop, he's going to be a policeman, so you should then train him accordingly. If he picks a cake, he could be a foodie, he might be a chef or somebody, he might be some man of taste or something, so go there. And they are very excited. They line up all those 4 things and they hide, and the child comes sauntering in and says, "Oh, what is this?" He looks at Bhagavad Gita, slams it close. He counts the money, puts it back. He looks at the pistol, toy pistol, he moves it and then puts it back. Then he sees the cake. And he sees the note. Take any one of these. So what he does, he eats the cake sitting there peacefully. Then he tucks the pistol in his pocket. And he folds the note and crumples and throws it away. Puts the money in his back pocket. Takes the Bhagavad Gita and leaves the room. Now the parents are very confused. What is going to happen to this kid? I mean, he's picked all 4. What's he going to be? Is he going to be a spiritual person, a cop, or an accountant? What? Or an accountant? So they run to the astrologer and say, "Maharaj, very confused we are. He's taken all 4. What does it mean, even the note?" "Ah," he said, "he's going to be a politician." So going back to your thing, your question, should you share your experience and what can be ascertained from it? It's better to really first solidify and replicate your experience so that it happens to you repeatedly, and then you know that this is the outcome of what you're doing and not something random. So that you know, okay, this is because of what I'm doing and not something random happening to me. So one can hear Anhat Naad if one gets slapped very loudly, right? Now, is that the result of a slap or is that some spiritual awakening? So it happens. Now, best not to share your experience unless you've reached a stage, or a state at least, where you can make that happen repeatedly. The first time I had Lord Shiva's dream, which I shared with Mata Rani the same day, and I wrote in my memoir, after sharing with her, do you know how many times I spoke about that dream and shared with people? Never. The only time I did it ever again was writing it in my memoir. Because it's not something that happened to me every night. That I'll say, oh, it's something I'm summoning Lord Shiva with my mantra sadhana or something and he's coming. That was just his grace. So, to cut the long story short, I don't know if we can say that anymore. It's pretty long already. But keep it to yourself ideally. Why? Because when you really gain a spiritual diamond, the world will see your shine. The world will see your radiance. If you have to talk about it, if you have to mention it, you are not there. If you have to say it out loud, then you will walk down the wrong path, which is the second part of what I was going to say. You will end up not you, Veda, just generally, you will end up being just some sort of a maniac or egoistical person who's just trying to exert their superiority by virtue of the experiences that you are manifesting in your mind simply because you are good at imagining things, as opposed to having any dash or tinge of reality in them. If you have to mention it, it's probably not worth mentioning. If it's true, the world will see your tapas. They will see your radiance. I mean, it happened with Buddha, it happened with Mahavira, it happened with Krishna, it happened with so many. Until the Yuddha of Mahabharata, Krishna never really declared that, look, I am God, pray to me. It's only there he said, Avjananti mamuda manushim tanumashratam. Param bhavam ajananto mam bhut maheshwaram. Kante, you see me, these people see me in a human form and mistake me for a human being. What do they know? But those who really know mam bhut maheshwaram, that I am the controller. I am of all the elements there are, forget just beings. So his radiance was for the world to see. Even though he never formally took a position, and yet he was consulted at every important step. And sadhana, what happens when you clean a vessel? If you clean it regularly, it's spick and span, any light will bounce off its surface. That's what radiance is. So when you do sadhana, when you lead a virtuous life, the radiance you will exude is for the world to see. Sometimes, however, the world can see false radiance as well. Somebody can just be very beautiful and they project a certain radiance, which is because of the makeup or skincare. Then you have to see how they carry themselves. Third, how they speak. Their speech, their actions, and their energy, which is directly coming from their thoughts, their mind, is the only way to ascertain how or where spiritually one stands. That's my answer.